What's up, everybody? I'm Greg Miller. We have such a secret show today, we had to kick out the audience because Drew Murray is here from Insomniac Games to talk about Sunset Overdrive. But first, Smash Brothers characters have been revealed. Destiny isn't working in some colleges. This is Up at Noon. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the news you care about with your usual panel of experts, the one and only Brian Altano.
I like when you call me that.
Really? That was the first time I've ever done it. Usually you're the Italian meatball.
No, I mean an expert.
Oh.
Yeah.
I usually call you idiots, but they usually clap over it, but there's no one to clap over it today, and no one's ever caught me on it. And the producer / seducer, Nick Scarpino.
Hi.
You're back.
I am back.
Top news story of the week, Destiny came out.
It did.
Everyone's playing it. We're playing it. We're enjoying it. Nick doesn't play video games. He hates games.
No.
The problem is a lot of college students can't play Destiny. They got that Ethernet in their rooms. They got the centipede on it. A whole bunch of the settings can't get through. You can't play it.
Seems like an oversight.
Does it?
A little bit.
Not really.
Really?
I mean, great. I mean, you make an
College
online.
kids don't play games for the most part anyway.
No,
right?
You make an online game, you expect, you're making an omelet here. Some eggs are going to get cracked. I'm sorry that you couldn't sit down and run through every, whatever, the University of Minnesota is going to be, what their settings are going to be on their internet.
That is your demographic. It's people that want to play the most games and have the most amount of free time.
Right. Question I have for you guys. What's your
Completely.
best college game story? When you were in college playing video games, what was your best game story?
This one hits really close to home for me because when I was in college, it was right around the same time, I think Counter-Strike was becoming big.
Oh, yeah.
So my roommates, wired our entire dorm to make it our own LAN network so we could just play with everyone. And it was...
Where'd the wires go?
He literally went to Fry's Electronics, which I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that.
Yeah, the best deals are always at Fry's.
Oh my God. He went and he bought hundreds of feet of Ethernet cable. Put an actual LAN hub, like an Ethernet hub, in our room, and wired the entire dorm out the window and up into the hallways.
Out the windows.
Everything. He basically dialed it in, and he used these little stick-ups so that he could keep it away because our resident advisor, RA, was hey, you can do this, but people can't be tripping over wires because with typical dorm guys were like. Run cable to next person's room, totally fine. And then in the middle of the night, someone comes back drunk and just falls right over. And you're like, well, we should probably rethink this.
Or none of the doors close.
But it was awesome. It was the first time I had, other than I had done some Quake parties, some Quake LAN parties, stuff where you'd actually physically bring your machine together and network them. But this was the first time you would be sitting in your room and someone would I think it was page you, be like, hey, you want to play?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, you could come down and tell me that, but this is way faster. Yeah, let's just go ahead and play. And you would you'd kill someone, and from far off, up into the space of the dorm, you'd hear someone go, "God damn it! What are you doing?"
I was talking about when I moved off campus. That's when I fell in love with the GameCube. The Smash Brothers. Smash Brothers for sure, but it was also Mario Golf, Mario Kart. That was the jam in the house. We all played that. We had Animal Crossing, all those things. But when I think of video games and I think of college, especially in the dorm rooms, I think of GTA 3. I had my PlayStation 2. I moved in. That came out in November, so I was still or October maybe, still very new to the Mizzou scene. I knew no one there when I went to school there, so literally I got that game and just left my dorm room door open and would play. And people would just walk by and then they'd, whoa, what's that? They'd come in, they'd sit down like, this is the game you can kill hookers in, right? Go do it. And then I'd be running missions and I'd get out of the car and then people were like, wait, get back in. I want to hear what Laszlo's going to say. So we'd just climb in and drive around listening to Chatterbox.
Yeah. Well, the thing about GTA 3 is if you weren't playing it, all you heard was explosions in the radio station,
screams,
and nonstop police sirens.
Right.
It was like you'd be like down the hall in the dorm, and it'd just be like. That was the whole thing for like hours. And, like,
and that game hasn't changed.
No, it hasn't changed at all.
And it made us all play the game in a different way. You come in and you're like, all right, see how long how long can you last with 5 stars? You turn on the cheat and go.
Yeah.
Like we just don't play games like that anymore.
No.
I remember there was a garage that I found that you could hole up in like the fourth level of it. And
there was like the one building that was 2 stories, the only building you could go inside. You smash out the glass and get up there and you do all stuff.
All right, so mine is probably the dumbest thing I've ever done playing a video game, and that says a lot. But in college, we played GoldenEye like crazy. GoldenEye 007 was just the game. And it didn't make a lot of sense because that game came out it was years after the movie came out.
Yeah.
And it was like no one had ever made a licensed game that was good before.
Right.
Let alone one that was just that good. Like this was...
Yeah, that game had no business being that good.
No, by no means.
No business.
By no means. And I always say that it would have been great if they made a movie based on that game.
That would
So they
broke
already
my
had
brain.
the Pierce Brosnan GoldenEye
the
movie.
Pierce Brosnan GoldenEye movie. So if they
Then
made
they
a
put out
movie
the
based
game.
on the game,
What would
where
it be? Just facility?
Well, it's like Pierce Brosnan gets shot in the
Time
face
mines,
too many times,
proximity mines.
and he doesn't get hurt because
People
he's got
yelling at Odd Job because he's too short the entire time.
people slapping each other for 30 minutes. Just a real movie like that. So
That's a good idea.
the thing about GoldenEye was it
Trademarks.
was the definitive 4-player split screen multiplayer shooting game, which means that there was only a certain amount of levels and everybody played it like a crazy person, so you knew where everything was at all times. And that meant you could cheat by looking at other people's screens.
Oh, no, not only that, but you literally didn't look at your own screen.
Yeah.
You developed that peripheral vision of only, like, you looked at your screen with peripheral vision and looked at everyone else's to figure out where they were. I got so good at GoldenEye that I could kill someone from their screen if I had to.
Yeah, and we used to play proximity mines in the facility.
Of course, everyone did.
That was the best.
Yeah.
So proximity mines
you
were...
just hurl them up.
You put them on the little cross beams, and then people
or
walk in, they
underneath
have no
the
idea.
walkways. I put them in all the spawn points, so it would be
good.
like, and it would just like link them all in a row. So we got mad at each other because we could all see each other's screens. So we're like, what do we do about this? Let's buy a bunch of cardboard, tape it to this TV, vertically and horizontally to make a cross. And each person sat inside a little cardboard booth.
What happens to the guys below? Do they have to sit
Below,
beneath you?
They're in a little cardboard house, and the ones above were sitting on stools up above the guys below, so that everyone had their own cardboard box.
That's
to play.
genius.
It was crazy, and I'm like, we're making all this noise, and the RA comes in. He's just like, "What's going on in here?" And he sees 4 dudes sitting on different parallel levels of a bed, with chairs on top of the bed, playing GoldenEye, shooting each other, so we couldn't see the screen.
Apple Watch is a real thing. It's been rumored forever. You got it. Touch screen, the little doodad on the side. You scroll through it with. It listens to your heartbeat. $350 to start with. You guys are both watchophiles.
Sure.
You gonna buy it?
I mean, we wear watches.
I will.
Aren't you really into watches?
I like
He's
my
really
watch.
into watches.
I love watches. I will probably buy it. Like most Apple things, I'm always a late adopter to them. I think that on this one, I can see the promise of where it's going, and I think it's going to be one of those things that you wear and go, how did I live without this before that?
Are there any gaming possibilities for this device?
So, what's the screen size is like what?
It's a stamp, pretty much, postage stamp, a couple postage stamps put together.
Well, they could bring back... So when we were growing up, we had those watch video games that were really bad.
Sure.
They could bring back those.
Mr. Game & Watch come back
Yeah, but
too?
the only thing is it doesn't have buttons, so they'd have to figure out something from there.
You got the knob. The old knob switch down there.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, but I think that you have to rethink what your concept of a game is, right? And
That sounds like such an Apple... We've got to rethink our concept.
Well, no, but it's true. So again, being the super late adopter, I always hate everything that comes out until it proves me wrong, which the iPhone did, right? Our concept of mobile gaming has completely changed in the last 5 to 10 years, right? I mean, well, obviously in the last 5 to 10 years when cell phones weren't even a thing, but you would look at something like Angry Birds or any other of the popular games and be like, this is completely addictive, but it's not what I'm normally used to.
Yeah.
And so when I look at the functionality of the watch with being able to kind of tap someone else or send a picture or do things like that, like that's what gaming I think would probably be like to start at least, right? And that interpersonal connection you're going to have with all of your friends. Similar to if you have like a mass text message that's going out. Sure. Imagine if that could be made into a game.
See, I think it's going to be more the way of, it'll be augmented reality kind of stuff, right? Remember when, I forget which one of the goddamn million Pokemon games came out, but it came with the pedometer. And you took that with you. Yeah. Same way here, right?
Refusal to not say
You're
that.
playing games, I'm saying it perfectly right. You're playing games on your phone or whatever, or maybe even is an app that's dialed into your phone for Destiny or whatever game you're playing, and then based on the number of walk steps you take, you get that. You're playing it, it's tracking your heartbeat, so it knows when you're getting scared to change things, stuff like that would be like
I think like
Gen 1.
like sort of it'd be like 3rd or 4th screen experiences now at this point, right? So I think that could work if you're getting like cool messages from something in your game like transmissions, but even that's like you can do that with a phone or a tablet. I think what it'll do really awesome is extremely zoomed in versions of games that we play now.
Angry Birds, where
and it's just like the whole screen's the bird, and you flick it, and you're like, "Where's he going? Nobody fucking knows. Let's see." And then like 10 minutes later, like your thing shows you where it goes.
Third story of the week: Smash Brothers is still coming. They revealed more characters. Brian, who were they?
Let's see. So a bunch of the leaks happen, and the thing with Smash Brothers is it's so easy to fake screens, right? We've seen that so many times. People take that character select screen and they put, Freddy and Jason in there, and then the chick from Scream and all this other stuff.
Nev Campbell?
Nev Campbell.
They had a rumored Nev Campball.
I would play as Nev Campbell.
Really?
I would have to.
Oh man.
Not in my movie.
I don't even think Nev Campbell plays as Nev
Scream
Campbell
2?
anymore.
That's Scream 1 at the end of it. Careful, this is where the villain always comes back for one more scare.
So a couple weeks ago, we saw leaked videos, which never happens because that means somebody has to animate it. And we saw characters like Bowser Jr. We saw who else did we see?
Ness, did he pop up in this one?
Not yet.
Okay.
But we also saw the Duck Hunt Dog.
Right,
the Duck Hunt Dog was like, man, that's so crazy. It might just be true.
Yeah.
Now the game it's out in Japan today or tomorrow, whatever, or Monday, last two, however that works.
What day it is?
However time works in Japan. And people got the game early. There's like people had leaked it, and Twitch streamers were playing the entire thing, unlocking stuff like that. And all the characters we thought were leaked or faked or whatever, all turned out to be true, all of them. Which is kind of a shame for a game that like already took every secret every single day and was like, you get one new thing a day,
which was cool.
It's like, is it cool though? Here's my question. I mean,
it's a build up.
Do you miss video game secrets? You know what I mean? Like, we talk about this all the time. Like, you used to buy a game and, like, they'd be like, well, there's 36 people on the roster, but you only know 10. Enjoy yourself, you know what I mean? And then, like, when I think back to, you know, reveals recently that mattered, it's always stuff I didn't know. You know what I mean? Spoiler alert for Uncharted 3. When they did Young Drake, right?
Yeah,
Like, they went out of their way, never even to hint at that. And you did it, you're like, this is awesome. What a cool moment to have.
Yeah, the first time they showed that scene and you could play as him, you're like, I'm moving this young man.
Who is this young boy?
Who is this young man? And I missed that growing up. Was this sort of like a new game would come out and there was this like mystique around it, right? There was always like, who's in this game? What happens if you like? I remember Mortal Kombat came out. People were just straight up making up fatalities. You're like, there's a time where he marries Scorpion's daughter and then they get divorced 25 years later, and he's like, fuck you, and it's fatality. And I'm like, really? That's in that game? And I believed it.
Hold every button
They
on the
retired the
controller.
Boca Baton. It's like, why would he do that? That doesn't. It's still out there.
Yeah, and I miss having that. I feel like nowadays a game gets announced, we know all the characters, the whole roster, all the secrets become like retail exclusive DLC and pre-order bonuses.
Even if you make it to release, some idiot gets it early and streams the entire thing, and everyone is in the comments of the article spoiling what's happening.
And that's why I gotta say, recently I thought PT.
Oh yeah, that was a great idea.
Amazing. Like this was the first game in the longest time to A, no one knew it existed.
Yeah.
B, it just showed up. And we could play it. It was just like, you can play it now.
Yeah.
And we all started playing it, and we're like, no one knew it was happening. We all got together as a collective internet and like found different ways through it.
Yeah.
And there were secrets, and for the first time ever, like, you know, like cheats were popping up. And then a few hours after that, they're like, oh, by the way, it's a Silent Hill game made by Kojima. Like,
and Norman Reedus is in it, and Guillermo del Toro. You're like, holy crap, that's awesome.
I love stuff like that. It never happens anymore. Like, you don't really, there's no surprise in video games anymore. That's
Well, I mean, and we see the same thing on. It's even worse in movies, right?
Yeah.
Where
oh God, the trailers give everything
zero
away.
Like at least in games, when you say there's no surprise, it's a little bit hyperbole, right? Because it's a 20-hour experience. You're going to be surprised at some point.
Yeah.
With movies, literally, like they got to think real hard and try real hard to like put something in there that you don't know about ahead of time.
Yeah.
That's why the only thing I can think of in recent past. Is all the behind the scenes, or not the post-roll credit stuff for Marvel movies. Where you're like, what's it going to be? This is going to be awesome. What new character are they going to introduce? But even then, I still walk in every day and someone's like, hey, you want to know what it is?
Yeah.
Before you go see it. And I'm like, no, Darren Brazil, I do not want to know what it is.
Darren Brazil.
I remember the Bane and Batman fight in Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
Was like we saw videos, we saw stills of that. The one where they're out in the snow, like in front of that bank.
Yeah.
Like we saw that from every single angle except for when until it actually came out, and we're like, oh, there's all the post-processing effects, and there's all that stuff. Like,
there weren't that many. It literally looked exactly like the leaked
was pretty
photos.
much what we saw.
Except
But like we
Christian
just saw
Bale was just standing like this. He was like this.
Like the leaked set photos of the new Batmobile that I saw yesterday, I was like, I didn't need to see those.
Well, technically those weren't leaked. I think.
Yeah, they were. No. There was the leaked Batmobile photos, and then Zack Snyder last night was like, F it, here you go. Here's the real Batmobile.
So that's the other
thing.
thing.
Like
Like,
that polished, awesome
I feel like we also end up like forcing a creator's hand to show us something.
Right.
That's also part of the problem. But this is where we are. Like we want everything now.
We can't have nice things.
No,
I know
we
that's
really
the
can't.
problem, but I mean at the same time, we don't have to choose to read these articles. We can still censor ourselves from this stuff. Like I did it for Guardians of the Galaxy. I had no idea really going into that, aside from the name of the characters, what the movie was even about. And so I was pleasantly surprised when they introduced like the Nova Corps and like some of the other aspects of that. I didn't even know Thanos was going to be a huge villain in it.
Spoilers.
Spoilers. He is. Well, sorry.
Well, that's the thing,
Stuff like
right?
that
Like,
just happens, right?
There's accidental spoilers everywhere. Like even if you don't read the articles and the headlines, I'll go on Facebook to be like, check out Thanos and Guardians of the Galaxy. Also, here's the ending credits scene. I'm like, God damn it.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. But for the Smash stuff, if you're a huge fan of that, that is sort of the build-up to the game, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
It is nice to be like, once a week, you're like, oh, this is, or once a day. Is it once a day or once a week?
Yeah, once a day.
Once a day. You're coming out and you're seeing someone cool because you're going to want to interact with that. And with Smash, I mean, sure, there is that allure of like, oh, you're unlocking characters, but at the same time, it's whetting your appetite, and I feel like there's not enough of that either, where there's a huge build-up to a big cultural event, which Smash is.
Yeah.
You know, with like Guardians of the Galaxy, and to equate it to movies, Marvel is releasing a movie every 5 days, pretty much. I mean, it's ridiculous at this point. So like, there's nothing really to look. There's just a sea of stuff all around you all the time. You know? Whereas Smash is like one of the only Nintendo games I play, first of all, and secondly, like I'm super looking forward to it. It's fun.
Yeah. Well, speaking of games we're looking forward to, Gregway, I almost took out the light. Our next guest is putting out Sunset Overdrive. You might know him from Insomniac. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together, even though none of you are here, for Drew Murray. As I live and breathe, Drew Murray.
How you doing? I'm good.
Everybody always says I'm loud, and I never think I am until I say it with no audience. Then I'm like, wow, I am kind of
I'll
loud.
try to be extra loud.
No, you don't have to. I'll bring it down to what a normal person, I guess, sounds like, or whatever. Hey, Drew, thanks for coming through.
Absolutely, thanks for
having me. You came through,
me.
you're doing this whole week of content for Sunset Overdrive on IGN. All this exclusive content. We're Monday. We're at the tip of the sword here. We're starting everything off. You are game director on Sunset Overdrive.
I am.
You direct a game that's open world, go do whatever you want, jump around, skate, blow stuff up.
This sounds so easy.
Exactly.
You make it sound easy.
What are you directing? I don't understand. It's like, I need a monster over here and a pirate over there. It gets a game. Ship it.
Done.
No. What do you do? What does this mean for a kid at home? For my mother?
Basically, what I do is anything that has to do with making it a game. So, what the hero does, what the enemies are, mission design.
Yeah.
Basically, a bunch of people do work, and I come through and play it. I'm like, I kind of like this.
Really?
A little bit to the right. You know.
Tighten
up the graphics in level 3.
Oh, sure.
You know, that kind of
okay,
stuff.
Yeah. And kill these bugs.
Yeah, exactly.
So, for me, I mean, like, I'm stupid, of course. I'm just a dumb chucklehead. Making a game seems like the most difficult thing in the world. Being director, where you step in and play stuff and say, this doesn't work or this does. When does your job kick up? In the beginning, they're just looking at concept art, right? And they're laying things out.
Yeah, I mean, Marcus Smith, the creative director, and I pitched the game. We came up with the idea for the game. And so there's obviously a long process of that, and then pitching internally, and then pitching up to Microsoft, and then trying to get people to understand what the hell we were talking about.
Right.
And then, the first year of pre-production is just really trying to figure out what this game is. And certainly the vision that we had originally and where we ended up are pretty far apart.
Sure. But you're used to that, I imagine, right? You've been making games a while.
I've been making games for 9 or 10 years. This is the first game that I came on while we were actually figuring out what the game is. I came in Resistance while we were rolling. Never heard of it?
No.
Yeah.
I do remember this game called Resistance Retribution. James Grayson's story, Dynamite.
Dynamite. So yeah, I had never been a part of this process before. I've been a part of like a particular game, but not launching a franchise or during the part where you're bringing it all up from dust.
Let's cross our fingers here. Franchise, all right? Don't get
ahead
of yourself.
Let's not get ahead. You can have a one-game franchise, right?
Can you?
I think so.
Like Murdered Soul Suspect.
People will be like, oh yeah, that game in the dust bin. I remember that guy. I wonder what happened to that guy who made that game.
He's a painter now. lives as a recluse.
Lives in his parents' basement.
So then, when you get to the point where you're going to embark on this, it's pretty much on your shoulders and Marcus's shoulders. Like, how do you deal with that kind of pressure, I guess? Like, you're trying to take... Drink? That's
a lot.
What it was?
Drink a lot, yeah.
Okay. An honest response from a game developer. I like that.
It's hard. I mean, I'll say, fortunately, particularly with this game, I think we had a really great pre-production team. We're really excited about the game. I think that one of the great, maybe the only great decision that Marcus and I made was this idea of anything can happen in this world. Things don't have to make sense. And so it gave the team a lot of freedom to just like, this would be a neat idea, and it wasn't like, well, that's not what happens in contemporary.
Sure.
That's not the way. That's not the way Delta Force operates.
Yeah.
And so I think anyone who had sort of a weird or wacky or kooky idea, or just an idea for a mechanic, even if we thought we weren't super excited about it at first. We were like, yeah, you can have a couple days, see what you come up with.
So is that how it works? I mean, it sounds like that could be anarchy. It could be chaos, right? That a million people are doing a million different things, and you're not even sure how they all fit together. But here it is, it's basically playtesting?
It is anarchy and chaos. I mean, it's truly, it's kind of terrifying at first. the whole idea of moving around in our traversal system, that was not in the original pitch at all. It was started much more grounded. We didn't have crazy weapons because I was like, God damn it. Am I allowed to curse?
Yeah, sure.
Okay,
They bleep them out. I get yelled at if I say f***, but if you say f***, it doesn't matter.
Do they really bleep it out?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Not like live. It's not like you. They
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't.
Just making sure you understood.
They didn't have. They don't. You can't pick like vulgarity filter or not.
No, sadly,
on.
Yeah, it's not one of our filters on our menu screen. We can't do that just yet.
What a bummer. I don't even remember what we were talking about.
We're talking about Sunset Overdrive.
Yeah, some good time. Oh, the weapons. Yeah, I wanted.
You didn't want crazy weapons.
I didn't.
That's what Insomniac's all about. Ratchet and Clank, disco balls. What are you talking about?
I know, but that's what everyone always leads with. Insomniac coming out with the crazy weapons. I wanted people to talk about anything else for a game. So when we were trying to get people to sort of understand the vibe we were talking about internally, we would say, this isn't the end times, this is the rock and roll end times. Then all of a sudden it was like, well, when are we going to have like the electric guitar or rhythm matching machine? And then this guy pitched, Neil, one of our designers pitched this idea of this gun that shoots 12-inch vinyl records, and we were like, oh man, that's way too on the nose, We'll give you a day, yeah, you can put it together, we're not going to do anything.
Yeah.
And then you put it in, and it's like, okay, we'll put crazy weapons back.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, for you, is that like the biggest, like, you're talking about like what you had at the origin, right? When you make this idea, isn't what's shipping on October 28th, of course. Is that the biggest discrepancy, or like what else changed, I guess, in this game?
Originally it was kind of a lot more survival oriented. It was going to originally be like a hard time day and night cycle where you had a little bit of time to go out and explore, and then had to come back and like defend a base. And it was actually modeled on the I Am Legend book.
Oh yeah.
And we had kind of come up with, okay, we're going to go with this more stylized look, but we're going to keep this sort of more hardcore game style. It would have, if you can imagine the Insomniac version of DayZ or something with this unusual look to it. And just over the 6 to 9 months that we were originally working on it, just kept changing, and all of a sudden, one of the designers, Cameron Christian, wanted to put in some, these wacky traversals, and again, we were at first like, this is a bad idea. But it was a really organic process, and it was very much, let's not talk too much about it. We were not into design documents at all.
You just let it happen, man.
Just let it happen, man. Yeah, let's just keep drinking, and hopefully it'll all turn out okay.
And it looks like it has.
And it turned out really well.
Yeah.
I think giving the team a lot of creative freedom and letting people try things, and some things didn't work out, but a lot of things did.
Sure. So then, question for you. This week of content here on IGN, I've seen some of it, barges and pirates and all this different stuff. For me, it's one of those things where every time I think I have, okay, this is what Sunset Overdrive is, you guys seem to show something that's like, oh, wait, I didn't expect that. You know what I mean? Yeah. At first you showed it, and it's like, oh, I'm going to be going around with the crowbar, doing all this stuff, fighting monsters that are all jacked up on soda. Great. And now there's a pirate barge that runs on garbage. And all these different things like that. I mean, how hard is it for you to demo this game? You know what I mean? Because you have to show a little bit, but you can't show too much. And where does all that fall?
It's tough, and I think you can get a good idea of sort of the core system of moving through the city and shooting the crazy weapons pretty quickly. I think getting people to wrap their heads around the humor and how much diversity it is, and we've talked a lot even from when we first showed the Fizzy Tower, which was the first thing we showed off, and we were like, yeah, everything's really different, but I think it's hard to get people to understand it until they've seen a couple different things. It's like, oh yeah, like really it is different. And that was one of the things that we talked a lot about with the mission designers, was like, we want you to come and surprise us with the ideas. Like, we don't want this to be, come with your crazy stuff, all the crazy stuff that you've always been holding back, throw it out here.
Nice.
And we did a lot of different things. Early in pre-production, we would assign out like different rock songs, and we'd have people pitch missions based on like either the lyrics or the way that they thought the music made them feel. And we got some really interesting stuff. A shocking number of like sort of dating simulations.
Wow,
like a shocking number.
Like that's what people want, man. They got that pigeon game.
I guess so. Like seriously, like 25 or 30% of the missions that were pitched had to do with getting a girlfriend or maintaining relationships.
At the time, they were making a bet that was next gen.
Then they were apparently right.
Yeah,
right?
Well, I mean, time's going to tell. We'll see about that one. We're not going to pan out.
Right.
Here's a question for you. As complicated as Sunset Overdrive seems, right? A million things happening. You can traverse, do all this different stuff. when you set off, were you guys like, for this to be the best game, it has to be an exclusive? Like, you know what I mean? So you can sit down and know hardware and be on the Xbox One or whatever it would have been when you're pitching and make it work on this one thing as well as it could work ever?
I think we were pretty open. I think that we really wanted to find a place that was open to this being a stylized game and having humor. And when we pitched to Microsoft, they were just really into the idea. And you know, we'd talked to some different people, and I think people were like, okay, that sounds good if we could just lean it this way or that way a little bit.
And you're like, no, this is my vision. You drank and you slammed it down.
Kind of, yeah, a little bit. I mean, we wanted this to have a real Insomniac feel.
Sure.
And it was important to us to really maintain what we thought was special about the game.
Well, that's, I mean, I always think, you know, Colin, one of my cohorts here at IGN, he had written a giant piece about the history of Insomniac. It was always independent is what it was, right?
Yeah.
And I think like that speaks to what you guys really do, right? You always march to your own beat. You have these properties, you make these franchises you create. And so, yeah, I would understand, like, no, this is what we want to do.
This is really what we want to do, and I mean, Ted was awesome about it. Ted was very much like, this is what we're doing. If you're looking for something else, if you're looking for, you know, the next hardcore shooter, you need to go somewhere else.
Yeah. So do you think is that a lesson that's been learned over time? I mean, you know, you guys worked on Ratchet and stuff, but technically Sony owns them or whatever. And then, like, you know, you worked with EA, of course, on Fuse and stuff like that. Was this like one of those like, no, we're not compromising for anybody. This is our thing. This is what we want to do.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Microsoft has their own ideas and things that they want to get in. They have a lot of super experienced people, and so it wasn't like Marcus and I are up on high or Insomniac's like, we're going to do whatever we want to do.
You say that, but I'm pretty sure I read an article where they talked to you and you stood on a chair. You were literally up on high.
I was on a chair.
So you go in to pitch Sunset Overdrive to Microsoft,
Yep.
the name amongst names, and you decide that climbing on a chair would be a good idea at some point.
I actually think that some of the people in the room were really excited by the concept. I think that everyone was into the idea that we were very passionate about the game. And I don't know, my granddad was a college professor, and he was actually really known for jumping up on tables to grab people's attention and stuff.
Family legacy.
Family legacy. There you go. And I was acting out kind of what we imagined the night defense sections where there's super chaotic and it's all building this culmination, and I was just kind of. I've been walking us people through what we thought the game would be like at that point, and just getting more and more excited and getting louder and louder, and then getting up on the chair, and oh my God. So it was good.
And they were like, done, here's a blank
check. They were
check.
like, bam, there you go.
All right. It all came to be. It all worked out in the end.
It all worked out in the end.
Drew, thank you so much for coming by.
Thank you.
Sunset Overdrive, October 28th, everybody. Look for more coverage here on IGN all week long, and then, of course, the full review, and then come back and write about wikis, and then I bet there'll be a bunch of rumors about a sequel, and then you'll come to the comments and you'll complain about the DLC, if it's there, it's not, or what. It's a thing. But that's what you have to look forward to.
I know. I can't wait.
Drew, thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks to Drew Murray, Nick Scarpino, Brian Altano, and you, my audience. Right, I didn't have an audience, but if you want to be in the audience when we do have an audience, go to go.ign.com/up-at-noon for details. As always, I'll be answering comments the first hour this video is live, so come tell me what you're excited about in Sunset Overdrive. Me wearing hot pants. We'll be back next week with Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, but first, I'm going back to bed.